Welcome to Grounded Spirits Podcast, a place where we're learning how to stay rooted while flying high. I'm your host, Laura Lynn, and today we are looking at the Emerald Tablets. Specifically, tablet number 7, which is the 7 Lords. So let's jump in, shall we? So it starts off by saying, "Hark ye, O man, and list to my voice. Open thy mind space and drink of my wisdom." So right away, it's saying to open up our third eye chakra. So it's like right between our eyebrows, a little higher up actually, like maybe like the middle of our forehead. And then it says to drink of my wisdom. So what I'm thinking here, like drink, like water elements. When it comes to wisdom, I would either go with Scorpio or Pisces. Scorpio is more about like that transformative knowledge or transformative relationships with others, whereas Pisces is more about like the oneness of humanity and coming together. So let's read on. "Dark is the pathway of life that ye travel, and life is fully capitalized." So I don't think that they're talking about like our everyday kind of life. I think this is like the pathway of life as far as like the collective, like we are all moving in one direction, whether we like to or not, no matter how divided, especially right now in America, no matter how divided we still are one country and we still are going down one pathway of life. So that's why I think it's capitalized, like life as far as like the greater life than just the individual life. "Many the pitfalls that lie in thy way. Seek ye ever to gain greater wisdom." So I actually just posted this on my Instagram page. It's published. So it's PUBL._ISH. Oh, I think I said that wrong. It's L_.ISH. And so it's supposed to be like the capital L and then the dot, and then ish. So just to like separate the pub and the L and the ish. That's how that whole thing is. If you want to go check it out on Instagram. It explains everything, like why I split it up that way. But anyway, the point is that I had just posted an Instagram. So now it's like part of my highlights. And it was saying that the obstacles are part of life, that you have to go through the obstacle in order to get to the other side. And so a lot of times we avoid this obstacle because it reflects back to us the parts that we don't like about ourselves. And so, or like the parts we want to avoid in ourselves because we don't like them, right? So when you stop avoiding it and actually stand up to your fear, like face your fear, then that's how you know you're on the right path, because you need to. Where the whole point of life, right, is to love ourselves unconditionally and then love others unconditionally. But I think that it really starts within. I'm trying so hard to not go on a tangent, but I just have to say this, that I saw another Instagram today that said that you can't have self-love without the love of others, that you need to experience what love is in order to cultivate it within yourself. And I don't think that's true. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. You could DM me at Grounded Spirits or publish, because that's where I had posted that. Or email me at groundedspirits@gmail.com. Okay, moving on. "Attain, and it shall be light on thy way." So exactly what I've been saying. We're on the path. There may be some pitfalls, but that's fine because we're going to achieve greater wisdom because of it. And then that's how we find the light. "Open thy soul, O man, to the cosmic, and let it flow in as one with thy soul." And soul is capitalized both ways. So I think that here it's capitalized because it's talking about like our divinity within, our divine part. And so it's saying to like let it flow with the actual root or the actual source. And that's what we call God's source sometimes. "Light is eternal and darkness is fleeting. Seek ye ever, O man, for the light." And light is also both capitalized. So once again, I think that it has to do with God growing. The God that we know in the Old Testament is not the same God that we know in the New Testament. He evolved, and it's silly and crazy to think that if we're growing, if everything on earth is growing, how could God not grow? One may say because he's already perfect, how could he grow? How could he change? Because then that's admitting that there was something wrong with him. But I see it differently. I think it's just like the sun or something, that will constantly keep transforming, keep changing, and it'll just evolve. Whether that means, like for a star, for instance, it turned into a supernova, but it's still evolving, it's still changing. And I think that everything in the entire universe and beyond is constantly growing and changing. Know ye that ever as light fills thy being, darkness for thee shall soon disappear. And this time light, only the L is capitalized, not the full thing. So here it's talking about the light now that can fill us, because the fully capital L-I-G-H-T, it would be too great. And I think that that's why like souls get split up or broken up, or like there's so many things that happen to souls, but I think it's because the soul, like the divine, has to be broken up into small, like digestible parts for us to be able to house this soul. And so here it's talking about know ye as ever as light fills thy being. So this is like the light of like the goodness that comes from within, not necessarily like the divine. Open thy souls to the brothers of brightness. Brothers of brightness, fully caps. Let them enter and fill thee with light. Fully caps. Interesting. So maybe this is what it's saying. I messed up on the last thing, that maybe the light is saying that like that's what can come from within, but then the light that's fully capitalized, that is coming from God, from source, can only be brought by the brothers of brightness. This makes me think of like indigo children, or like other kinds of groups, like light workers and others. Lift up thine eyes to the light of the cosmos, fully caps light. Keep thou ever thy face to the goal. Only by gaining the light of all wisdom art thou one with the infinite goal. Infinite is capitalized, just the I. Seek ye ever the oneness eternal. So it's like one and then two S's and then a space and then eternal. Oneness eternal. So is that normally when we say like actress, waitress, we're talking about a girl. So is that what's going on here maybe? Seek to be with the eternal, the female kind. Seek ye ever the oneness eternal. Seek ever the light into one. And one for oneness and one in the second line. They're both capitalized, and so is the L in light. Hear ye, O man, list to my voice, singing the song of light and of life. Voice, light, and life, the first letter is capitalized. Throughout all space, light is prevalent, encompassing all with its banners, if flames. All is fully capitalized, and light is just the L. So what I'm thinking is going on here is that the light that's just the uppercase L, I think this is the light that we can actually manipulate, or that we can actually give, or like the light that is like our energy or like our spirit, whereas the fully capital L-I-G-H-T is like the soul, like the light that's like the flame inside, the inner light that comes from within, from when the soul is free. So he's saying like to listen to my voice, because he told us to have our third eyes open, right? So by listening to his voice, it's going to be coming in through the third eye, allowing the light to come in. We're going to be singing the song of light and life throughout all space. Light is prevalent, encompassing all with its banners, if flames. So, yeah, it's just like it's saying that like this light is ever expanding. It's just growing and growing. And the more that we're able to light up our own selves and we go back to source, then source will become even brighter. I think it's kind of like how they say, I think Buddha said this, that one candle can light 1,000 candles without it doing anything to that candle, right? Like the flame can be shared. But I think that that's like what these brothers of brightness are doing. They're lighting us, like we're the candles. And what's so cool is that like let's say you're out like on a football field. It's completely dark, pitch black, and you have your one little candle. Kind of scary, right? You can't really see anything except for what's right in front of you. But imagine if you went to a football game and all the stands are full and everybody has a candle. Those little flames, that light adds up, and then pretty soon you could light up the whole field just with candles. And so I think like that's like what he's like getting at here, that the more that we are able to bring this light into ourselves, and how it said, seek ever the light into one. Look, we're the one, but we're also part of the all, the fully ALL. And yeah, I feel like that's the best way that I could explain that. Seek ye forever in the veil of the darkness. Somewhere ye shall surely find light. Okay, so it's saying go to the football game, then there's nobody there. But because you're going out in darkness, the second that you see somebody with a light, you're going to be drawn to that light like a moth to a flame. And you're going to like go and be friends with this person, and then they're going to light you up. So he's saying like go where it's dark, because then that's how you can see the light, and that's how you can find like the brothers of brightness that can light you up. Hidden and buried, lost to man's knowledge, deep in the finite, the infinite exists. Lost but existing, flowing through all things, living in all, is the infinite brain. Whew. That is so cool. So it's saying like to keep learning, keep going, because we are all part of this collective consciousness, this collective brain, this infinite brain, and all and infinite brain, they're all fully capitalized. In all space, there is only one wisdom. Through seeming decided, it is one, and in one, all that exists come forth from the light, and the light comes forth from the all. One, light, and all, they are all fully capitalized, but the all is only capitalized in the last all that I said. And so basically what it's saying is that like we are all one. Like let's say that there were aliens and there were other beings here on Earth, but also like out wherever. We are all still all one. So if that's the case, then of course we as humans, we are one. So like, why are we fighting? Why can't we get along? Even within our own selves, like why can't we get along? Why is it so hard to make decisions? Why do we let fear take over? I think that's part of this darkness, right? And so it's saying that everything, like the light comes from everything, and everything has light. And that's like really cool. So moving right along, this is now at the bottom of page 42. If you want this PDF, I can email it to you for free. Or I can send it to you on Instagram too. Just say PDF and I know what you're talking about. It says, everything created is based upon order, and order is fully capitalized. It goes on to say, now on page 43, law rules the space where the infinite dwells. Law and infinite fully capitalized. Forth from equilibrium came the great cycles, moving in harmony toward infinity's end. So it was getting back to the mathematics of things, that math is the language of God. So these laws are in order, and we're constantly just trying to find equilibrium, even within our own body, within our relationships, within society. That's the whole point of everything. Moving in harmony towards infinity's end. And he said it earlier too, we're constantly focusing on the goal, and the goal is just to be, to grow towards the light. Know ye, O man, that far in the space-time, infinity itself shall pass into change. Infinity is fully capitalized. Hear ye and list to the voice of wisdom. Voice and wisdom are just the first letters capitalized. Know that all is the all evermore. All, both times fully capitalized. Know that through time thou may pursue wisdom, and find evermore light on the way. So he's saying the wisdom and the light, they go hand in hand. So if you're searching for wisdom, you're searching for light. If you're searching for light, you're going to find it through wisdom. Know that through time thou may pursue wisdom, and find evermore light on the way. Know that through time thou may pursue wisdom, and find ever more light on the way. It said it twice. Thou shalt find that ever receding, thy goal shall elude thee from day unto day. Interesting. So I wonder why they said it twice. But it says listen to the voice of wisdom, and they just really wanted you to note that. And I say they, but Thoth is the one who's writing this. But I think that Thoth is getting this from the seven lords, so I guess it is appropriate to say they. But it also goes, the beginning of this verse, it's saying that, I said verse, but it's a stanza. I mean, there's both, right? But yeah, that infinity itself shall pass into change. So exactly what I was saying, that God is constantly growing, constantly changing, even though God is infinity. And so I was a math minor in college, and we learned that there are different kinds of infinities, and we were learning how to interact, or how to understand, how to be able to categorize these different infinities. And that sounds kind of weird to say, because if you say infinity, you think that it goes on forever. And it does, but there are greater infinities and smaller infinities. And so I think that's what's going on here, that yes, God is infinite. God is all powerful. God is all of the omnis, right? But he is still growing in this infinity and becoming a bigger and bigger and bigger infinity. Long time ago, in the halls of Amenti, Thoth stood before the lords of the cycles. Mighty they in their aspects of power, mighty they in the wisdom unveiled. They is capitalized, both times fully capitalized. Lords is fully capitalized, and halls of Amenti is fully capitalized. Interestingly, though, mighty is only the first letter that is capitalized, but it's only for the first time that I said mighty. The second one is lowercase. Interesting. Led by the dweller, first did I see them, but afterwards free was I of their presence, free to enter their conclave at will. Oft did I journey down the dark pathway, onto the hall where the light ever glows. So we learned from before in a separate episode, so if you didn't listen to that one, you can go back. I think it was last week, maybe the week before, that the dweller was somebody that he met through finding like a master, that he was his apprentice by somebody who was in Atlantis. And so he is the one that took him to the halls of Amenti. He's the one that did all these things. He's the one that taught him about a lot of this stuff. So he's saying that the dweller is what led him to the seven lords. But then after, he could come and see them whenever he wanted to. And that he went off and he went to the hall of Amenti where the light glows. So we talked about that. That was like one of the first ones. So maybe like tablet 3, tablet 2. Where he goes in and then he sees all these like little sparklets and they're all souls. Alright, so moving on. Learned I of the masters of cycles, wisdom brought from the cycles above. Manifest they in this cycle. As guides of man to the knowledge of all, 7 are they, mighty in power, speaking these words through me to men. Time after time stood I before them, listening to words that came not with sound. That's cool. So let me tell you about like the capitalizations. So masters at the beginning is only the first letter is capitalized. They is fully capitalized the first time that I said it. And then all is fully capitalized when I said knowledge of all. So what he's saying here is this the way that I can, and not just me, a lot of people can communicate with plants and animals, and it's through listening to words that came not with sound. So it's so cool, like you know that it's not your own voice. And actually it's so funny because in Carlos Castaneda's books, when he talks to a coyote, he thinks, I messed that up. When he was talking to the lizards, he couldn't differentiate what was the lizard telling him, like what thoughts weren't his, what thoughts were coming from outside of himself. I never really had that issue, but I do know other people who have. And it just takes practice of getting to know your own voice compared to this outside voice. But once you're able to differentiate it, you know, because at first it kind of feels like you're making it up. Like, oh, like this dog didn't really say this, or this plant didn't really say this, but then you listen and they respond as like knowing that you listened. So for instance, let me give you an example. So like with plants, I think I've told the story before, but this snake plant was telling me snip, 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 and I was like, what are you talking about? And then it asked me to like take off this like dead piece of it. And so then once I did, then it straightened out, like it wasn't like leaning over anymore. It like grew pretty. And so it's like, that's like that feedback where like there was nothing else that had changed in the environment, looking at it in a scientific way, except for the fact that I listened to her when she told me to take off this little piece that was dead. Also in this stanza, I like how they keep repeating like the cycles, that the masters of cycles, and then the cycles up above, that they manifest in cycles, and that they serve as guides for the man of knowledge, the knowledge of all. So it's cool how like they are bringing everything together. And it's interesting that there's 7, because we have 7 chakras, we have 7 days of the week, we have 7 is just a very holy number. And so I love that it says 7 are they, mighty in power. So yeah, all right, moving right along. Once said they unto me, O man, wouldst thou gain wisdom, seek for it in the heart of the flame. Wouldst thou gain knowledge of power, seek ye it in the heart of the flame. wouldst be one with the heart of the flame, seek then thine own hidden flame. So once again, it all comes from that inner wisdom, that inner light. And how do we get this inner light? By listening to our heart. The heart is just the body of the soul. So listen to your heart, because then that's how you set your soul free. Many the times spoke they to me. By the way, every time I say they, it's fully capitalized. Teaching me wisdom not of the world, showing me ever new paths to brightness. Teaching me wisdom brought from above, giving knowledge of operation. Learning of law, the order of all. Law is fully capitalized and all is fully capitalized. So basically they taught him or gave him the knowledge to understand how the world works, the law, so it's like the capital, the law of how everything works and comes together. The thing that's coming to mind right now, and I don't even know what the title of this film is, but it's the newest one on Netflix from Adam Sandler, and it becomes friends with this spider, and the spider is kind of, and it's not even a spider, it's just the way that it looks like a spider, but it shares with him how everything comes together, how everything works. And so it's just reminding me of that. Spoke to me again the seven, saying, from far beyond time are we, come, O man, traveled we from beyond space-time, I, from the place of infinity's end. When ye and all of thy brethren were formless, formed forth were we from the order of all. Not as men are we, though once we too were as men. Out of the great void were we formed forth in order by law. For know ye that which is formed truly is formless, having form only to thine eyes. Alright, so there's a lot here to talk about. So first, let me tell you about the capitals. So we is fully capitalized every single time. All is fully capitalized only when talking about the order of all. And same thing with law, only by order, by law. And space-time, if I didn't say that. So what this is reminding me is of in Regular Show when Skips meets with those big babies, and they kind of give me like this vibe that they come from beyond space-time, from infinity's end. Infinity, only the I is capitalized. So they keep talking about this like formless and formed. So going back to grounded spirits, like what it means, like the stay rooted and flying high, I think it's like talking about this same idea of how do we stay formed so we still have our values, we still have like these deep roots of knowing who it is, who we actually are, like what makes each individual person. So I'm just going to talk about myself in this situation. So what makes me me? What makes me different? What gives me my unique self? And it's that little piece of divinity that nobody else in the entire world has or will ever have, is what my soul is. That is my little piece that is completely unique to me. And you have your own little unique piece of divinity within your soul, and that's why all together is how we create the all, the ALL fully capitalized, right? So with grounded spirits then is how do we stay formed? So I'm reading the last line again. It says, for know ye that which is formed. So like I just said, having like knowing who I am, knowing what makes me different than everybody else, truly is formless, having form only to thine eyes. So isn't that so cool? Because it's saying that to be formed, we try to put ourselves into boxes. Like, we give ourselves labels, we give ourselves an identity. But what he's saying is that when you are truly formed, then you're going to appear formless, because you won't be able to pin down who you are using these words. It's so cool. I just read this quote by Nikola Tesla that said that language is like insufficient to like explain how I'm truly feeling. He did not use those exact words, but it's something along those lines. And so that's the whole point of grounded spirits, is like, how do we get to this point where we're grounded, we're formed, we know who we are, we know what makes us different, and we're proud of it. We're not shy about it. We're confident in our own skin, in our own body, in our own family, in our own relationships, in our own society, in our own country, in our own world. It just goes on forever, right? But that we feel like we belong, we feel like we are in the right place. We're not searching for more. But the thing is that once we get there, we will realize that we belong everywhere just by being ourselves. And I think that is what Taylor Swift has been working towards. I posted another thing on my personal Instagram now. It's Laura Lynn. ITSLAURAALYN, and she's talking about, if you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, so you might as well just be you, basically, is what she was saying. And this is what we're learning here too. Right before this, the line right above it, it's talking about the great void, where we were formed, and the great void, they're each capitalized. So I think this is like what I was talking about with how God was able to do this. God was able to figure out what was different about him, and what made him away from the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit is the all. The Holy Spirit is the darkness, is the great void, and that's where we all get formed. We all get formed within like the Holy Spirit, because it's a spirit, right? And once we are able to differentiate ourselves from that Holy Spirit, then that is how we become formed, and again, truly formless. Moving right along. And again unto me spoke the seven, saying, Child of the light, O Thoth, art thou, free to travel the bright path upward, until at last all oneness become one. Light, O Thoth, all ones and one, fully capitalized. 7, only the S is capitalized. Fourth, were we formed after our order, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Know ye that these are the numbers of cycles. And that's so cool, because angel numbers, 999 is the end of cycles. 333 is that the angels are with you. So it's kind of cool. And then we also see this like from Nikola Tesla, who says that you have 369, that these are the magic numbers. And so it's cool that like it's like weird though, no? Like where is 1 and 2? So yeah, it starts with 3 and ends with 9. So these are supposed to be like their names. The other thing I want to point out is that there's commas between 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but then between 8 and 9, there are 2 dashes. I'm not quite sure what that means, but I just thought I'd point it out. Know ye that these are the numbers of cycles, that we descended from unto man, each having here a duty to fulfill, each having here a force to control. So I've been watching Sandman, and it's so interesting that they call themselves the Endless. So for Sandman, he's the dream. We also have desire, destiny, despair, death. There's probably more. There's just ones I can think of. But he keeps talking about like having this duty and how things need to be in this way. Even if he doesn't agree with it or doesn't want to do it, he has to punish, and he has to do this and he has to do that. But my whole thing is that he doesn't have to do anything. And then what's cool is that he gets captured for over 100 years, and that everybody notes that he's different. Everybody notes, like, oh, like the you before you were captured would have never done this. So like once again, we're all evolving, we're all changing, but it's interesting that we all have a duty to fulfill. And we may think that something is our duty to do, but if it's not true to who we are, if we're not listening to our soul, because everything has a soul, even souls have souls, like the soul has a soul, mind, body, and spirit. And then so that soul has a soul, mind, body, and spirit, and it can go on forever. That we have to just make sure that we are listening to that inner voice. No matter if we are an endless or one of the 7 lords like we're talking about here, or just like you and me, just mortals, humans, it's important to listen to that soul, because that is the way towards the light, like we were talking about earlier. Yet are we one with the soul of our cycle. Yet are we, too, seeking a goal. Far beyond man's conception, infinity extends into a greater than all. There, in a time that is not yet a time, we shall all become one with a greater than all. Time and space are moving in circles. Know ye their law, and ye too shall be free. That's interesting. So we're talking about like that freedom, and this whole stanza is just talking about like moving, like creating time in a sense, like moving towards our truest nature, our truest selves, and coming together in that truest self, and not just tolerating each other, but appreciating and loving each other unconditionally for exactly who we are, without any of the fakeness, without anything along those lines. And it's so interesting that here these 7 lords are doing the same thing. They're part of the same cycle. I free shall ye be to move through the cycles, past the guardians that dwell at the door. Then to me spoke he of 9, saying, Eons and eons have I existed, knowing not life and tasting not death. For know ye, O man, that far in the future life and death shall be one with the all. That's really cool too. What was I watching? Something said that, I think it was also in Sandman. So in Sandman, might be like a little spoiler alert if you haven't, so maybe like fast forward a minute or so, that he meets this guy who he's joking around with his friends saying, there's death everywhere. This is in 1389. And he's like, I don't know why everybody wants to die. Like, there's so much to live for. Like, I just love life. I don't want to ever die. And then Death is like, hey, should we make that guy's dream come true? And Dream's like, sure. But I don't think that, like, watch, like in 100 years, he's going to be begging to die. Like, he's going to hate life. And then the 100 years goes by and he's like, I love it. And then another 100 years go by and he has made it so rich. He's living life. He's like, this is what I would dream heaven to be like. And I'm so thankful that I get to experience it here on earth. Then the next 100 years, he lost everything. His son died. His wife died. He lost all of his money. And so Dream is like, for sure you want to die now. He's like, no, not at all. Like, this is just more to experience. This is more to love. And then just year after year, he just keeps loving life, and then it gets all the way to the present, and he's still loving life. He doesn't want to die because there's just so much. But with it, dream was saying that it is just as natural, that death is just as natural as life, and life is just as natural as death. And that's actually how the whole thing started, because his sister is death. And so he goes with her as she collects these people. So she's like the Grim Reaper. And she's saying, like, both are natural. Both are just part of, like, the natural law. And so it's cool here that we're seeing that life and death are actually the same thing. It's just a new beginning. And that we fear it too much because it's the unknown. But if you're in charge, you get to decide how you want to experience things, then why not? You know, like, why are you afraid of it, of the unknown, if you're the one that's creating the unknown, is what I'm trying to get at there. Now we're at the bottom of page 44. Each so perfect by balancing the other, that neither exists in the oneness of all. In men of this cycle, the life force is rampant, but life in its growth becomes one with them all. See, once again, it's all about that growth, that even like through the death, we'll still get another chance to live, and we'll still be able to grow. That death is just a way for us to grow. It's a way to cut us out of the life that we knew, so that we have a chance to start over and to learn more. It all just comes down to learning and to growing. Here I manifest in this your cycle, but yet I am there in your future of time. Yet to me time exists not, for in my world time exists not. For formless are we. Life have we not, but yet have existence, fuller and greater and freer than thee. Man is a flame bound to a mountain, but we in our cycle shall ever be free. Know ye, O man, that when ye have progressed into the cycle that lengthen above, life itself will pass to the darkness, and only the essence of soul shall remain. So I think that's what they were saying before, that each of these 7 lords, that they used to be human. They said it earlier, but like, we are not of men, but we used to come from men, or something like that. So I think that they're trying to tell Thoth that he can be one of them, like he's on the road to becoming one of them. And I think that's what they were saying, like with the whole formed and formless, that once they were able, like, we have these meat suits because it's so difficult for us to be able to know what is us versus what's somebody else. And if we were all just souls, we would get lost. We wouldn't know. Like, our body is here to protect our soul and give us an opportunity to figure ourselves out, to understand who we are, so that once we keep learning, keep growing, keep going towards the light, allowing the brothers of brightness to light our candle, to light our inner light, all that kind of stuff, then we'll eventually get to this place where we become one of the 7 lords, where we don't need a body anymore. All we need is the essence of our soul. And that's how we will feel the most free. So back to what I was saying with grounded spirits, my whole thing was like having those roots so that you can fly high. And I always thought that meant, like how it says, man is a flame bound to a mountain. I thought that meant like becoming like one with nature and like being here on earth. And it is. And I still believe that. But I think that it's more about being grounded within oneself. And once you are grounded within yourself, then nothing in the external world can harm you, can do anything to you, because you're in control. You are the one who dictates. So when there is bad stuff that happens, it's just a reflection of you. And people don't like taking responsibility. And there are a lot of awful things that happen, and it's hard for, like, you may be thinking, like, how can you blame the victim in a lot of different situations? But what I'm saying is that everything is a reflection. So, and I don't believe that there's anything that's good or anything that's bad. So it's about having that balance, trying to get that equilibrium to be able to forgive ourselves. Or sometimes it's like a karmic debt where it's not even about you in this life. It's about something that happened in a past life or something along those lines. But the whole point is that to become grounded spirits, we have to be grounded within ourselves so that we can ascend and we can feel free. Okay, moving on. Then to me spoke the Lord of the 8, saying, so first then it was the 9, and now we're talking about the 8. And again, Lord and 8 and light, and the next stanza, death, all fully capitalized. So this is what the Lord of the 8 said. All that ye know is but part of little. Not as yet have ye touched on the great. Far out in space, where light being supreme, came I into the light. Formed was I also, but not as ye are. Body of light was my formless form formed. Know I not life, and know I not death. Yet master am I of all that exists. Seek ye to find the path through the barriers. Travel the road that leads to the light. So what I think number 8 is saying is that he was just always light. And that he was just a light being. If you watch Casey Musgrave, her newest album, Deeper Well, I think it's in the actual music video of Deeper Well. It ends with her becoming this light being. And so that's the image that came to mind reading Lord 8's saying. So now we're going back to what 9 said. Spoke again to me the 9, saying, seek ye to find the path to beyond. Not impossible is it to grow to a consciousness above. For when two have become one, and one has become the all, know ye the barrier has lifted, and ye are made free from the road. Grow thou from form to the formless. Free may thou be of the road. Thus, through ages I listened, learning the way to the all. Now lift I my thoughts to the all thing. List ye and hear when it calls. All and all thing fully capitalized. Lift, just the first letter is capitalized. O light, all pervading, one with all and all with one. Sounds like Three Musketeers. But yeah, it's just talking about, like, just to keep looking at the light and barriers that come. Just don't be scared. Keep going, because you know where you're meant to be. You know where you're meant to go. And so they're giving him advice on how to ascend to the next level to be one of them. And now we are at... Oh, okay, so there's more. So let me read the bottom of 45 because it goes on to the next thing, like it was just cut off. It says, O light all-pervading, all with one with all and all with one, flow thou to me through the channel. Enter thou so that I may be free. Make me one with the all-soul, shining from the blackness of night. Free let me be of all time-space, of all space-time, free from the veil of the night. I, a child of light, command. And so I think that this is now Thoth talking, that he's the child of light. So he's asking, like, make me one with the all soul, with the soul. So that's source. All soul and light are fully capitalized. One and veil, just the first letter is capitalized. And let's just keep going. Free from the darkness to be, formless am I to the light soul, formless yet shining with light. Know I the bonds of the darkness must shatter and fall before light. Now I give this wisdom, free may ye be, O man, living in light and in brightness. Turn not thy face from the light, thy soul dwells in the realms of brightness. Ye are a child of the light. Turn thy thoughts inward, not outward. Find thou the light soul within. Know that thou art the master. All else is brought from within. Grow thou to realms of brightness. Hold thou thy thought on the light. Know thou art one with the cosmos, a flame and a child of the light. Now to thee gave I warning. Let not the thought turn away. Know that the brightness flows through thy body for aye. Turn not to the dark brothers that come from the brothers of black, but keep thine eyes ever lifted, thy soul in tune with the light. Take ye this wisdom and heed it. List to my voice and obey. Follow the pathway to brightness, and thou shalt be one with the way. So I said this was Thoth, but I don't think so. I think that this is still number 8 talking to Thoth here. And because it says, I'm a child of light, and that's what he said he was. So I feel like a lot of it we have already gone over, so that's why I didn't stop. And I just kept reading. But yeah, basically just like a quick overview that you need to be formed within your own self. Turn inward, not outward. You are the master. You get to decide what you want out of life, what you see in life. It's all a reflection of you. So the stronger that you become inwardly, the happier you'll be outwardly. Keep going towards the light. We've been saying that a lot. Know that you are one with the cosmos, that you have a flame within that comes from the cosmos. Turn not to the dark brothers that come from the brothers of black. Once again, dark brothers and brothers are black are fully capitalized. So I think when it's fully capitalized, it means like the collective. And take this wisdom and heed it. Listen to my voice. The voice is not fully, just the V is capitalized. And then one, thou shalt be one with the way. One is fully capitalized. So yeah, just keep working on yourself, keep loving yourself, and everything will be okay. And so that's how Tablet 7 ends. Next week, we'll be going over Tablet 8, the Key of Mystery. So yeah, thank you so much for staying all the way to the end. If you learned something today, please give this podcast a 5-star review. If you love Taylor Swift as much as I do, I am going through the entire Tortured Poets department, the anthology, line by line, just as how I did here with Thoth's work. The Emerald Tablets, number 7 is what we did today. Just exactly how I did it here. It's what I'm doing with Taylor's work, and really getting deep into understanding why she didn't feel free. She's the most powerful, most influential, one of the richest young women out there. So if someone like that doesn't feel free, how can that be? If we're talking about success in today's society standards, Taylor Swift is successful, so how does she still not feel free? So that's like what I'm getting into there. As you can see here in the Emerald Tablets, freedom is a common goal for all, not just with women, but with men as well. As we're seeing here with Thoth, with the Lords, we all just want to feel free. And so I feel like that is the aim of grounded spirits, right? Like how can we become so grounded within ourselves and staying rooted into ourselves, so that we can fly free, so that we can fly high and be free. I think it all just comes down to freedom of the soul and freedom of the mind, freedom of the body, freedom of the spirit. And that's how we'll be able, but my whole thing is, I believe that if we are all free, then we'll all be happy. Like the way that society is today is that we're all sick. Whether it's through stress or an actual illness or mental health or whatever it may be, we're all sick, and we shouldn't have to be in this survival mode, because being in a survival mode indicates that something is not well, right? We should be thriving, and that's what the point of what we're doing here at Grounded Spirits is. How do we find ways to thrive? So please follow me on Instagram at Grounded Spirits, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.